Yes.
Malaco,
Present.
Gustafson,
Here.
Petty. Here. Block,
Here.
Dunn.
Here.
Item 3.1, approval of the April 5th Committee of the Whole minutes. We did not have an April 19th meeting. Is there a motion to approve the April 5th minutes?
Yes, I make a motion.
Second.
Motion by trustee Petty, second by trustee Plock. Any further discussion?
Just that and I've encapsulated to you about the number of outages there were,
Yes, yes.
and you were going to order a new computer.
Mhm.
Has that been ordered?
That is done and in place and being utilized tonight.
It is?
Yeah.
I had hoped that we would be able to hear Tony better and vice versa with this.
I think that's more
Tony
because
needs
of his
to speak up.
connectivity in California.
Yep.
I suspect. We're
Thank
not
you.
we haven't dropped audio. We haven't lost connection to the meeting tonight, which were issues we were having previously. But I also think that was a product of having some larger meetings. And I don't think the computer that was running the system was perhaps up to the task of handling the meeting when there was that many more participants. The April 19th meeting, which brought us, I think, was more consistently recorded. We're also have gone back to the practice of backing up with the digital recorders, which truthfully predated our current clerk. I think we've been doing virtual meetings ever since our current clerk has joined us, to be honest.
I have to agree with that.
We're trying to do belt and suspenders, but the new computer is in use.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second. We'll call the roll on the minutes, please.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Petty. Yes. Block,
Yes.
Malaco,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes. Thank you. Motion passes 6-0. Public comment? Anyone wish to join for public comment this evening? And hearing none, we'll move into new business. 5.1, discussion and recommendation to the board for approval of award of the 2022 Class D pavement patching contract to Schrader Asphalt Services for the appropriated amount of $50,000. I say this every year. This is a unit price bid.
Schroeder.
Schroeder.
Yeah.
Schroeder. Thank you. For the, we do this on a unit price basis, and then we can control the amount of work we award by laying out the number of patches to correspond with the $50,000 appropriation. Once again, this year we only had one bid back on the Class D. Last year we only had one back, which I believe was Stenstrom last year, and this year Schroeder was the only bid. So our recommendation is to move forward.
Been surprised.
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, trustee Plock. I think I heard trustee Petty sneak in with the second before Tony. Any further discussion? Clerk, if you call the roll.
Kane,
Yes.
Malaco,
Yes.
Block,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Petty.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Item 5.2, discussion and recommendation to the board for approval of the acquisition of 3 2022 Ford Police Interceptor utility vehicles under the terms of the village's master lease agreement with Enterprise Fleet Management, Inc. for use by the Roscoe Police Department for the combined quoted price $55,198. And just to let you guys know, it's a little special nod to Enterprise, not that they're here, but we, like with everything else, we ordered 4 vehicles and then they became unavailable with no date. And we let Enterprise know that wasn't acceptable. These are necessary vehicles for law enforcement use. And so they scrambled, said we need plan B, and they scrambled and found someone that had some in stock. We get 3. And then they also found someone to take, for a little bit, they found new ones, but we still were committed to the 4 we ordered. So all of a sudden now we're having 7, but they already have found commitments for, so we have 1 still on order, taking possession of the 3 that they found. So, and they are the same vehicles that we had ordered.
Are we retiring 3 or 4 vehicles?
Well, we're retiring 2. One of them is still a replacement for a vehicle that was demolished. We're down one. So one of these is replacing a vehicle that was totaled. Two of them we will sell 2 sedans that we have. And then the fourth one was always what was called an added unit. You know, we've added officers to it. So when the fourth one comes, that's they have a term for it. I don't know, added unit or something like that. So these 3 essentially replace existing vehicles. Because one of them already got totaled. And then the fourth one, when it comes, will be a new unit.
Scott, I'm looking at the order information here, and it states the exterior color, the agate black. Is this just a generic order form, or are we going to get black instead of white?
No, we are getting white. So we'll make sure we confirm that because they initially offered them in black and we said ours are white. We'd like to stay white.
Well, the order here
Yep.
identifies agate black.
Cool.
Thanks. I'll confirm that.
The 155, that's over 48 months, is that right?
That's correct.
Looking at this.
So what do you need from us? A motion to move this to the board to make this purchase for the quoted price?
It's precisely what we need. Recommendation of the board for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion trustee Dunn, second trustee Plot. Clerk, please call the roll.
Hetty,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Flock,
Yes.
Keen,
Yes.
Elko,
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes.
Thank you.
I do have a question.
In the South Connecticut Creek, which is what we're. The story leading up to this is that Fairgram, through their design of I'll give you the short version, you can ask questions to Brandon. Through their Main Street redesign, has been looking at options to modify the existing bridge to more safely accommodate the pedestrian traffic. Right now, the way the bridge is there's a 5-foot raised sidewalk portion adjacent to the guardrail, then a drop off, and then 5 feet before you have a lane of traffic with no guardrail or handrail barrier. The way the pedestrian circulation is being designed for Main Street is a continuous 10-foot wide path along the west side of Main Street, and then just a 5-foot concrete sidewalk on the east side. Like I said, they explored options for jogging that path over and utilizing the bridge, and it's not a feasible option. We're not able to make those structural modifications to the bridge. So a suggestion is a separate pedestrian bridge that will run parallel to it. And it actually works much better. It would maintain the alignment of the pedestrian. If you jog to a bridge and then back over, it could just continue straight across on its own dedicated pedestrian bridge. Right now, though, that new standalone bridge would have an estimated construction cost of $350,000. And there's an initial estimated design engineering cost of $47,500.
So you're looking at 400,000.
That is correct. Brandon, I assume the 47.5 is not included within the construction costs. Sometimes you guys double them up in there.
That is correct. The 350,000 is for the structure itself and the installation. And then the engineering design fees of 47.5 are separate.
Okay, yep. So 400,000. But the commitment I'm asking now.
For the engineering part, so they can do the test on for the pilings if they need them and stuff. Yeah. Makes
Did I
sense.
miss some kind of illustration or what you were reading Bob, was that put in our documents?
It was not. I just have an email from Seth and I will ask for a formal proposal to be drawn up if I want to see if there's appetite for this from the board.
I guess I would like to, I can't visualize what you're talking about. I mean, I kind of, but can't. I would like to see, so to speak, a rendering. I'm not understanding.
But that doesn't exist yet, so we'll have to ask them to prepare a rendering, I guess.
There would-
So basically you'd have the bridge that you have right now.
Yeah,
I can,
And then it's basically a free spanning bridge like you would see like on a golf course. That would go over like a creek. But this one would be a pedestrian one and they call them three spans. And it literally, I don't know the design of it, it may have the arch, the where it's caged or not. But it'll be high enough to where you can't go over the top of them. And then it'll be just a straight shot right across the line up with the path.
I could easily put together an attractive site, a readable site plan graphic, and then I could ask Fairground to show a representative photo of what they feel.
That's basically what it is, right?
It's what you'd see at a golf course.
Yeah.
It's what you see golf carts drive over on golf courses.
is this something that has to be decided tonight? Can this be laid over until we get all of those graphics and more of the details
It can be.
in 2 weeks?
Well, I'm in favor of laying it over.
I must take that as a motion from trustee Petty.
Second.
Motion and a second to lay over till next meeting. And more visual support for it. Clerk, can you call the roll?
Dunn,
Yes.
Malaco,
Yes.
Keen,
Yes.
Flock,
Yes.
Petty,
Yes,
Gustafson.
Yes,
Motion passes. Thank you. 5.4, discussion and recommendation to the board for adoption. The whistleblower protection policy is mandated by the Public Officer Prohibited Activities Act and designating an auditing official. This was at committee a couple meetings ago. We're bringing it back to committee. Joe was, I think, uploaded the policy itself. It's really an expansion. We do have an existing, very brief whistleblower policy. This supplants that. It expands the concept and process of whistleblowing itself, and then as required, as mandated, it addresses the issue of retaliation against a whistleblower. We are required to designate an auditing official, though we have been more restrictive in the definition of the roles of that auditing official, or more specific, I should probably say. And our recommendation is that that auditing official be the human resource director. And we have outlined a pathway for how reports are made, initially evaluated, and then passed on. We've actually even just internally put together a little organizational flow chart that shows the path they would follow. But Joe did a good job of verbally describing it in the policy. In short, some initial decisions that a auditing official might make are that it merits no further consideration and could be dismissed, and that could be an action taken. If there's a concern that it involves criminal activity, the reference would be to either the Village of Roscoe Police Department or to another appropriate law enforcement entity. And then if it merits investigation, internal investigation in a non-criminal capacity, the auditing official, the human resource director, has it at their discretion to bring in any outside resources that might be necessary in exercising that investigation. Does that sound like a reasonable summation of it?
Yep, it just provides flow of where the reports go, who reports, how you report. It puts that procedure in place ahead of time.
It still it still acknowledges the state's attorney's office as sort of a secondary auditing official and the role that they play should we feel it needs to be brought onto their attention above our own. But I know that what the distinction I want to make is I think I certainly have a better understanding of it now than I did a few weeks ago. And I think we were contemplating the idea of really outsourcing a lot of this and really having the role itself be played by a paid consultant. And the more we looked at the details of the statute and the best path for handling a report, the more we felt
not wish to report to HR?
Then you would do
Specifically, give me the page.
page
and-
number 559.
Joe,
See.
you're doing something with the,
Oh,
Thanks.
yeah, it keeps pulling up. Yeah.
The
It's
investigation?
paragraph- Yeah, it's alternative report, the alternative reporting procedure. So you can always report to the Wendell County State's Attorney's Office.
Did we not, a couple of weeks ago, when we first looked at this, conclude that maybe they would not be the most efficient organization to whom we would report because of, I thought you indicated.
Well, the
you weren't
initial
happy
report,
about
the initial
the-
report will always go, or likely the initial report will go to our auditing official, which is Ann Hansen. And then at that point, she'll be able to look at that and decide, okay, is it something she can investigate internally? Is it something that she needs to hire outside for? Is it something she needs to report to law enforcement? And make that decision at that time. But the initial report essentially will go through to her. She'll have somebody sort of marshaling the whole process.
But if HR is the person who is the
Okay.
whistleblower,
Yep.
then that person is forced to automatically go to the state's attorney's office.
Correct.
That's correct.
Estes office, yeah.
And go back to what you had originally said, we thought the state's attorney's office would be kind of an obstacle for getting things done quickly and efficiently, because one, you had indicated that they were not thrilled with being the default in this whole procedure.
And I guess,
And that
I
the
guess.
plate
the
is
issue-
still pretty full of lots of
Sure,
other
and if the
things.
issue is, if it's gonna be somebody reporting HR, then the SA's office will probably notify us anyway, so we would know, but, I mean, it's one person being reported on out of the entire, everybody. So, yes, it's possible that she's the one who is being whistleblown on, reported. But in that case, yes, it would go to the SA's office, but generally, a majority of them, if there are any other ones, are gonna go to HR as the initial reporting person, who then will figure out how it needs to be investigated.
To bring that one step further, Joe, I read in here that the HR person immediately reports to the president as well as the administrator about it. What if it is against the administrator or the president?
Then it wouldn't be reported directly to them. It would go to that, she would do the investigation, or in that case, likely, if it's going to be the administrator or the president, likely it's going to be, that's the kind of case we're talking about, where it might be an outside person, or it might be the SA's office. You're probably not going to have your, an employee here doing an investigation on probably any trustee, president, or administrator, realistically.
clerk, and
Realistically, it's going to be for, an
Who is the
employee.
outside person? That's what I think we're trying to get down to.
It brings us back to the state
State's
attorney's
attorney.
office, which might not look at it.
Or you hire somebody to do the investigation, but you're not going to keep somebody on retainer for the outside chance that maybe there's a whistleblowing. I mean, we can, I'm sure we can certainly.
So
do
the
that.
nature of the
It's gonna
offense
cost
might dictate.
Lots of money, but we can do it.
I can understand
Right.
that. But then
Not
who's
always.
going to determine that?
The auditing official it's an important role that's being created here, and the auditing official has a lot of discretionary authority here. If someone has to, we feel that's the right person to try to address the concern trustee Gustafson had that we brought up before. I think we certainly did have concerns about the SA's office ability to act as our auditing official in entirety, and didn't think we would have their full attention. I think using them as a backstop on a very small potential subset of complaints that would directly involve our own local auditing official is appropriate to pass on to them as a secondary.
makes sense.
So President HR
Correct.
would have the discretionary authority to decide where it goes.
Yeah, you look at page 6.
Either stay in-house, go to the state's attorney's office, or do we have potential other outside sources
Yeah,
that we
You
could
look at
go
page
to?
6B.
Yes.
That's that internal review. That's the initial review. So we have it split up between, a report, just something completely basic she hears, and she's like, yeah, you know what, that's really not a whistleblowing thing. Maybe it's just one thing, maybe something else. It moves on, aren't whistleblowing. It's not part of the whistleblowing. Maybe she gets a report and she looks at it and it's, okay, yep, maybe there is something here we should look into. That's when those three options, those first initial options come in, those initial review options, which are conduct investigation of the complaint internally. And that includes working with the village department heads, village administrator, village attorney. That's sort of what happened, that one recently. That's what happens on, a general type of thing, usually would be internal, just sort of internal investigation. She can contract with an outside firm or consultant to conduct the investigation. If it was somebody, probably higher up, so this can be a trustee or probably department head or village administrator, likely that's where you're gonna go. Or it's C, it's transfer the complaint to another auditing official, such as maybe a paying state's attorney, or maybe the AG's office, maybe it's somebody way high up and there's something big that went completely outside of this, or maybe it is turning over to the sheriff's department or the police department. Those are the three options. It's sort of doing internally, it's hire someone if that's warranted, or it is transferred to the SA's office. And then the investigation procedures are after that. But so those are essentially the three options of what would happen if there's a complaint.
I think that the auditing official would rarely not have internal counsel available to her though. So if it was any one of the people mentioned in there that was the subject of the complaint, they would still have, if it was the village administrator, someone was upon whom the whistle was being blown, HR could still go to our, could still go to our chief of police, could still go to elected officials, right? There's still counsel, internal counsel available to them.
And you feel confident that she has in her bag, I don't know.
Skill set.
No, she has a list of people that she feels confident in calling if she needs an outside opinion.
She's comfortable with the.
I understand that. I
She's
understand.
the HR director and she's an intelligent person.
Of course she is. That's not. Yeah, the answer is yes, trustee Pettit, yes.
I'm not even suggesting that she's stupid, and I'm not suggesting, what I'm saying is, does she have a wide enough,
Yes.
a wide enough reach locally to reach out to someone she thinks would be appropriate?
And if we got to that point
If I
where
were-
she's doing that, she's going to contact the village board. That's going to be a closed session, right? That's going to be part of it. It's not going to be completely happening in a bubble either. So you'll know about it. She'll say, here's what we're doing. Here's the general, natures, and we need to contract with someone. Here's who I'm contracting with.
Wide enough net.
She won't, that's a good comment. She won't have to make that decision alone either. Again, to my previous point, unless the complaint was against
Every one of
everyone,
you. Yeah,
then she certainly has, again, if it's against the village administrator.
Yeah.
And she's like, this needs to be handled by an outside consultant, she and Joe.
she definitely will contact me. I mean, we'll work together on it.
Absolutely.
And then we'll contact you.
Or the
as a
village
board
president
as well,
or
saying,
trustee.
here's a complaint that happened. We're not going to talk about the details of it, but we're going to do the investigation. Here's who we're going to hire. Just give everybody a heads up on it. And then it proceeds forward and that gets passed essentially directly to you. I don't know who it is. It's a staff member versus an elected official, but that's the process of it.
This also requires now annual update informative training of the statute now requires an annual refresher course on this policy, an annual signature and receipt by every employee, and giving them the statute itself
And we try to write
annually.
to make it readable for everybody, for staff. Hopefully we did that to make it sort of
But we'll
simplified, but
we'll just tie this into our, we have to do annual sexual harassment training. So we'll just have the insurance, the gentleman who conducts that is wonderful. And I'm sure he'll be able to communicate the path outlined in this policy through that training session.
For sure.
I have a couple of other questions. What training is there available for any HR person conducting this? Will there be some kind of, I know.
I don't know that it'd be training for this specifically, but I mean, there's training available. I believe she's done SHRM classes. I know she's member of SHRM. We are a member of SHRM, which is the Human Resources, so Society of Human Resources Managers or something along those lines. For just investigations, employee investigations, misconduct investigations. That's how it would be operating. It wouldn't actually be special to whistleblowing. Maybe handled the same way as any other internal investigation. So she does have those available, and is able to take those trainings. I think she already has taken some.
All right,
I've
and then
seen the bills.
Yep.
Then back to what you said, what is it that the board must be informed of and concerning any whistleblower
I
incident?
suppose it depends on what the issue, who it is. I mean, if it's going to be, and I think generally we have informed, I mean, if there's discipline issues, but if it's an employee, stealing, I don't know, toilet paper or something, likely that's not going to be with the board during the process, unless the person's terminated, then we're going to say, hey, board, here's what happened, right? We'll bring that to you. If it's, somebody higher up, department head, Scott, somebody else, that you'll know about that a little more quickly, because likely that's when we're going to bring it to you, or Ann's going to bring it to you, saying there's been a whistleblowing thing, we think it needs more investigation, here's what we're planning on hiring, here's what's going to happen, here's the process for it. Just keep it as an investigation, the details you don't get too much of the details directly, but it will be, here's some of the general allegations, here's what we're doing, here's the process. You'll find out very early if it's, some, department head or Scott or one of you. As that process goes on, keep informed of how the investigation is going and what's happening with that. And certainly if there's retaliation, you'll know about it before, any of this is awarded. That person can award back pay and award promotions and those types of things. If we're getting to that point, you'll definitely know about that, much more quickly. It's just if it's just an internal, discipline issue where the person's terminated or disciplined or written out. So
I think so you can almost look at it, what's excluded. I would think that certainly anything that was dismissed as being not rising to the level of action or investigation would not come forward to the board. And if it was something minor that just resulted in more traditional disciplinary action that happens from time to time, people getting written up, I doubt that would come to the board for notification, but I think anything else, almost anything above and beyond that would. Certainly termination, certainly breaking the law, and certainly department head and above.
That's me for any discipline, really. I mean, I don't think anything's going to change too much along those lines.
No.
You don't need to know. It's just a different type of way of being written up, I guess.
So what do you need? You need to move somewhere, or what are you gonna do?
All
This is-
employees would be required to sign acknowledgement that they read this.
Yes. Yep.
Right. And you said that would be done yearly?
Yes, correct. They'll be giving a copy of this, of the statute, and then sign that they received that and they understand that they've been trained. And we'll do trainings or discussion of it during our sexual harassment training every year.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to recommend this onto the board for final?
So moved.
Second.
Sue, is that you on the second?
Yeah. I'll do it.
Motion by trustee Plock, second by trustee Petty. Any further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Block,
Yes.
Petty,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Melcote,
Yes.
King.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 5.5 is discussion and recommendation to the board regarding participation in the solicitation of bids or extension of existing, not exiting, contract for road salt procurement. I'll turn this over to Troy. I think this is, the decision has somewhat been taken out of our hands since we even contemplated putting the agenda together. There was, when the county goes out for bids for road salt, and we, as many other communities in the county do, participate in that bid. It has been Cargill for as long as I've been here. I don't know how far back that goes, but just this past one, Morton won it. There were some growing pains in setting up the administratively, getting everyone's account set up. Those are resolved before there was a call for salt to be delivered, and salt delivery was as promised and on time this year. The county has elected to negotiate an extension of the contract and not go back out for bids this year, taking advantage of the getting through the initial setup time of the first year with Morton. The good news is that we have always had to go it alone on treated salt, and at our own request, they've negotiated a price for treated salt with Morton now. And really, I think I'll defer to Troy and Joe. I think this is the time of year where we would be taking board action to participate in the bid process. But if they're not bidding, I think that I don't know that there is board action yet until the time comes to.
Let's do a minimum requirement. for it?
Um,
Generally, we've done that.
we could make, we would, if now is the time, what we budgeted was 1,800 tons again. That's been our order for the past several years. Again, as you guys know, we order 1,800 tons. We have to order up to, Troy, what's the minimum and maximum?
80% and the maximum's 130% of our 1,800.
So we're obligated to buy 80% of that, and we're allowed to buy up to.
130%.
Yeah.
What do you need from us?
I don't know. This is really more of an update than anything else. I wasn't sure if we needed to authorize for a bid.
I think we'll probably put it on the agenda, just approving, joining that agreement,
Yeah,
joining
With
that.
the county?
agreement with the
yeah.
county.
So just perhaps a motion.
What we've always done.
Correct. Yeah. So joining, or authorizing, placing the order of 1,800 tons of salt with the extended agreement with Morton Salt through the county.
So we already have the number, correct?
Mhm.
Prices? Yeah, so usually we do it.
No, you're the motion, I think. Was there a motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
He did.
Justin did, I seconded.
You guys, you guys have had a motion and second pattern going here. Motion by trustee Clark, second by trustee Petty.
I'm asking a question now.
No, please.
Did you mention anything about ballpark prices? Do they know anything?
We do. Troy, do you know the prices?
Yes, they are, for the regular salt, it's $81.35 a ton. And for the treated salt, it's $107.16 a ton.
How does that compare to what we had paid last season?
They both went up $4.50 a ton. The old regular salt was $76.83 and the old treated salt was $102.66. So they're both at $4.50 raised.
I'd say that's probably got something to do with fuel prices.
Oh, doesn't. Yes.
Pretty close to what it was in 2020.
When we get our new salt shed and all of that other kind of stuff, are we still going to just have on hand the 80%? Or are we going to, because we're going to have new roads come online, so on and so forth, and we'll have greater storage capacity and to ward against future increases? Do we want to move toward more?
We never store the whole 80% at one time. 80% is far more than we could store. We take it incrementally throughout the year. How many tons at a time do you think we're storing, Troy?
Our salt building right now stores about 500 tons. And I have it separated right now, 200 of like treated and 250 of the regular salt right now in it.
So we don't have to, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
You were gonna separate the salt with the new salt shed, right?
Yep, for the treated and the new
Was
ones.
what your plan was?
Yep. Correct.
Ready? Roll call.
Yeah, roll call, please.
Gustafson.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes.
Kane.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Yes,
Old business 6.1 food truck festival update. Gene, this is for you, and I will, if you want me to write a little something right afterwards, I will. We are confirmed for June 25th for a food truck festival. It's a private public partnership with Main Street Square called Taste on Main, Saturday, June 25th. We've had a steering committee, for lack of a better term, meeting on a weekly basis now. It's been kind of fun to watch. I will tell you, I will pass all the credit on to Ann and Janelle. They have been running point on this and they've been doing an amazing job, and it has brought us, it's been a nice opportunity to get to know the new management team for Main Street Square, and they have been active and supportive participants. Some project components involve, setting up 2 porta johns, hand washing and sanitizing station, actually 3 porta johns, 2 regular, 1 handicap, hand washing, sanitizing station. We'll have garbage cans and dumpster, which Advance will provide for free, or Waste Management. Village of Roscoe will haul over some picnic tables. We're going to rent a tent. We're going to do poster design and advertising for it. We have a DJ scheduled. We have, because we're not allowed to use the terms Spider Girl and Spider Hero, present for the kids. And they look very professional. The costume as a whole. Hero rental program where you can have heroes come visit. That total event expenses are $3,365. We have taken on so far at least $1,700 in donations from the ownership and occupants of Main Street Square. That leaves what we want to bring forward is a village contribution of $1,765. We budgeted $10,000 for special events this year. I think we just kind of want approval from the board to move forward with maybe not to exceed $2,000 for this one.
Do you need that in the form of a motion?
I'll take it, sure.
Well, I make a motion to allocate $2,000
Okay,
for the food truck festival.
Palooza.
Extravaganza.
we have six food trucks plus Perfectly Seasoned. Aaron Beddoes
Yeah.
company is setting up a food tent. And they are forgive me, I don't have the list of the vendors. It's a pretty cool variety of food. And Aaron is going to just sort of try to fill the gap. Although I believe we have now extended an invitation to Upstream. Upstream was the food vendor here this Friday. They've already been invited and committed to, or been brought to Main Street Square both Wednesday and Friday nights for this week. So they're already getting some traction out of the event here, and we'll probably ask them to join as well. Just
One of
really,
them, that burger place, CJ's, or
I know we have a,
was it Chris?
Chris on.
Chris, yeah.
no, we don't have that. I know we have a smokehouse, brisket, pork, pulled pork, ribs and pork bellies. We have an ice cream, like a vintage or an old fashioned ice cream truck.
Really?
We have a Mexican fare. We have,
No tofu.
I don't know if there's tofu.
Yes.
I don't know if there's tofu.
Kale.
Yeah. My girl.
Shoot, I can't recall them all right now, but there's a pretty cool sort of.
What
There's a wood fire pizza. Okay.
Oh, nice.
what will be the hours of operation?
It'll be from 2 PM to 8 PM.
Fix up. Today.
Yeah, for this, I written down 4, so it's,
It was originally 4. You wrote it down correctly. It's been expanded to 2.
okay.
And I think I've mentioned before, but this, obviously, there was a large scale festival in this parking lot last year. And while the current ownership team seems supportive and desirous to have festivals and to do things that support their local businesses, their tenants, and bring people there, they prefer them to have a more family-friendly focus to them. And we'll make it clear they will not be authorizing any temporary licenses or beer tents in the parking lot for these events. We've also talked with Kelly Friedland, the superintendent of the Kinnickinnick School District. They have this event on their calendar to make sure that it's available for parking. So overflow parking from Main Street Square can park right over at Kinnickinnick. Is that Kinnickinnick? Kinnickinnick, yeah.
Not necessarily tied to this event. Help me remember, what is the village policy regarding or outdoor cafes? That if you have an establishment that is serving beer inside, are they or are they not able to, within a defined space, set up some tables and allow their patrons to go and enjoy a beverage outside?
Generally speaking, they are. However, I believe in Class BLs. Joe, I'm looking over at you.
BLs are not-
Is perhaps prohibited in BL?
It is prohibited in BL.
I think it's prohibited in BL. Other license categories can do that.
I mean, it's all how we define the word premises. I mean, that's always sort of an issue with it. But generally, no, it's generally, we don't have a separate, I guess some places have separate sidewalk cafe licenses or permits you have to get as an add-on. We don't require that.
But now that,
It's a gray area. I don't want to dive into it now, but it's, when we initially created a BL and put all those restrictions on it, it was construed to be a very specific thing, just a small little gaming parlor.
Right.
But then when we sort of changed, when we stopped the unregulated hours in 2018, and then changed the criteria where if you were 50% gaming revenue, you had to be a BL. There's a couple establishments in our village that are sort of caught in between. that I think are very close to being either one. I think Benny's had been one, and Benny's successfully demonstrated that their revenues are far greater from non-gaming. And so if you remember, we revised their license category. Jackpot Joe's is one that always seems like it's right there. Every year they come and say, we're right at 50-50, but they do operate as a viable small bar entity, separate from just a gaming parlor. They have a large non-gaming clientele. I just pointed out it's kind of a gray area where we've set these rules for a gaming parlor, but some of our BL holders kind of function as more than just that.
May I just, one thing that we learned from the shutdowns and COVID and all that kind of stuff is people enjoy being outdoors, eating and drinking. So I would like to explore what our options are to allowing small, limited cafe type venues where people could do that in nice weather, if the owner so chose to do it. The city of Rockford has made available where people can do bump outs
Yep.
onto the street right in front of their establishment for
Yep.
that purpose. So I think there is recognition of a lot of individuals that communities do this. So
For what it's worth, I
Or-
fully agree with you.
It's very European.
But the problem's gonna be like with Main Street Square, the people that own it, say absolutely not.
Okay.
Well,
Just so you know.
they might consider the, not necessarily, because they were very supportive of trying to come up with a solution to having an outdoor, fenced outdoor component of Crazy Llama
Right.
that's connected to it and part of that establishment. They don't want beer tents in the parking lot. They don't want beer tents set up as part of their events. So there's probably, it's worth, obviously, we need to discuss with them.
Need to craft it in a certain way.
Yeah.
I'll put it to you that way.
So this food truck deal, people can be walking around with a glass of beer purchased in a BL.
If, I don't know the answer. I think so. I think in the confines of an event like that, if they purchase it in, they could probably bring it out on that private property and consume it.
Scott, that's exactly what that guy does not want.
What's that?
It's exactly what that guy does not want.
It might
It
be.
needs to be
Yeah.
addressed.
Exactly what he said. He does not want beer in the parking lot.
Only on the sidewalk.
Just saying.
Well, and that's gonna be.
What he said.
This is our village one we're doing, but say they want to use their own, this people,
difficult to enforce.
what a special event permit would cover under
I
a new
get it.
permit. I mean, that's what it would.
I just think you need to spell it out really, really good.
I'm just saying, this is a private properties we're talking about. I think you're talking about more about coming out on the public sidewalks. I know there's a lot of places that are gonna be in the village necessarily are gonna be able to do that. Maybe, maybe it applies to them. But I think a lot of this is gonna be under their own current ordinance, not any changes on that. In that particular case, it's working with their own landlords, to figure out,
Yes.
can they do that? The village is usually fine with it, as long as it's blocked off in front of the premises.
And all I'm saying from conversations that I've had, with
Yeah.
you, we need to just make sure
Yeah.
that we're crystal clear.
This ownership entity is playing a more. I don't know if the right, more of a review authority capacity in things their tenants do. We generally, if a tenant in if a occupant of a multi-tenant commercial facility, say, applies for a sign permit, if it complies with ordinance, we grant the sign permit. If they request a temporary sign permit for a sale or something, if it complies with the rules of ordinance, we have in the past granted those. This building owner has made it clear that any applications coming from their individual tenants to us, they want to be included in that process. They want review authority over what their tenants are doing as well, and we will respect that, and include them in that.
Sure.
Must be in the lease agreement then, I guess. Who knows? Well, for example, if I were running Crazy Llama, I'd be all excited about this food truck festival because here I'm thinking it's going to drive traffic into my establishment. Now, all of a sudden, you're telling me a guy wants to take his beer out to a food truck and we're going to
That's
have
right.
a problem or issue here. So the support of this is going to be,
I say just define it.
Yeah.
Define it real clearly. I think it'd be great.
Look, I will tell you that every entity you just mentioned are sitting around the same table at every meeting, and there doesn't seem to be any internal conflict there, so
Okay.
I don't expect anything to go wrong. No, I didn't say that at all. I didn't say that at all. I don't expect there to be miscommunication between the tenants and their landlord,
Okay,
because they are in communication on this. And in fact, they've communicated, the landlord, there's maybe 5 or 6 of the businesses that are regularly, that have formed a steering committee, but they're in communication with every single business. Most of them will be closed on that day, certainly by the hours. Two other things. There's a tattoo and esthetician parlor in there, Skin Deep. They're going to be doing glitter and temporary tattoos for kids. And
thank you, make sure.
the chiropractor, the chiropractor is coming doing chair adjustments or chair treatments. So I mean, lots of stuff going on.
By the way, just point, did you know there's Cracker Jack, but there's Cracker Jill? Did you know that? And I think it would be really cool if we could get bags of Cracker Jill. I mean, besides Cracker Jack.
Are you talking about treats here?
Yes,
Oh.
yes.
I was going from action hero to treats, whatever.
Look it up, Keebler.
Okay, well, all right.
I mean, it's.
Do we ever buy Cracker Jacks?
No, but it's an idea.
This is like
I'm
Cracker
thinking
Jill.
outside of the box. Hey, okay,
You give 'em
is
out.
this
What
gonna
kind of
go?
prizes coming?
Guys, thank you very much. That's good. That's your update, and thank you for, I'm just gonna take that. I don't even know if that needs to go to the board. If we just have a vote supporting expending up to $2,000, I'm gonna take that as appropriate. We've appropriated 10,000, so.
Is this something that we could get the community interested in, sponsorship signs or something?
Well, yes, but we've kept, right now, those opportunities have been made available to the tenants there so that they can promote on their own property. And they've taken advantage of that to the tune of $1,600 so far. Also, on top of that, Main Street Meats handled radio advertising on their own and struck a deal where it was $1,200 to do radio ads for this on the Eagle or something like this. And they did half of that in kind and paid for the other half of it themselves. So there's been good participation.
Okay, so then I have a few things.
We haven't voted on this yet. I think we had a motion in a second. Would you?
I didn't have a second.
Me,
I still, oh, maybe I had the wrong. So, okay, we'll call that Sue. I thought it was Justin and Sue again, but maybe that was,
Just put 2 names down.
Second.
okay. Sue Petty, Justin Black.
Call Gustafson,
Yes.
Petty,
yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Malaco.
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Thanks, Tony.
Yes.
Sue's had some other old business. Go ahead.
I have my list and I've had my list of possible venues for the art display that Jean initially brought up that we voted on in our budget.
Yes,
And do I give that list to you?
sure. I can tell you what. Yes, you absolutely give that list to me. I can tell you the by far and away, the primary choice is the side of the gray Masonic building here that has Mary's sheer artistry in it. The side facing into the police department. That was actually the picture that I put in the packet. That's choice 1, 2, and 3. I've had difficulty getting a hold of the owners.
Of the building?
Hmm.
They're not local.
They're just
They're just,
a social club that owns that and it's amazing, the Masons own it.
What about, okay,
so
I'll-
anyway, that we're complete, absolutely give my list because we will.
I've been carrying this around for
Okay.
6 months.
Okay.
In my wallet. And just FYI to the rest of the board, if you don't know it, people are not required by ordinance to put their garbage in their totes. They can put their garbage out in front of their house in bags. And this is happening to me with a neighbor who lives across the street. Am I correct, Scott?
You are correct. However, the information I have is that while it might not be required by our ordinance that the refuse is put in the toter, Waste Management tells me it is a requirement of their service agreement with their customer.
So what's gonna happen?
I don't know yet. It's only, I told you what had happened so far was that Waste Management reached out to them to confirm that they had a toter and would provide them one if they didn't. Turns out they had one. Waste Management communicated to them that they are required to put their garbage in the toter. They said they would, and then you reported to me that they didn't. So I have now reported it back to Waste Management, and that's,
And I thought you said that there's nothing we can do.
I don't know that they're not violating our ordinance right now, so, but Waste Management spoke, I don't want you to think there was inactivity. You know, we immediately got in communication with Waste Management to find out, A, do these people have an account? That was our first concern. Do they have an account? They did, and they were paid up.
Okay. We've gotten this far. Neighbors are complaining that, that raccoons,
Animals get into it.
oh, yeah. And.
Dogs, everything.
And it's getting warm. And they moved in, there's been a lot of movement in this house. It's in the corner of the frontage road, Jamie, and 251, or the frontage and.
Opposite of you,
Oh.
right?
Yes, that house has been a problem for a while. Anyway.
I don't know if it's best that we say that.
Did I give an answer?
So I will,
Okay, all right.
I have let them know that the issue persisted.
And I think I do have an email, hey, there's really nothing more we can do from you. But it doesn't matter. I thought this could not be enforced. And there was one other thing.
Well, I mean, most definitely with our contract being up, you know, we're gonna start.
Well, that was the other thing I was gonna go after.
And then we can definitely tweak our lack of a better term, we can definitely do an ordinance.
So my last message was,
Clearly spells it out during that time frame with our new agreement.
my last message was that it's frustrating Walmart, WM, Waste Management. We've been in direct communication with them. They have a toter and are apparently not using it as they were instructed to do so and indicated that they would. The service agreement for trash collection requires them to use a toter. Unfortunately, we will now have to enter an enforcement stage with them. But that enforcement right now, to my understanding, would be more through Waste Management saying, you have to use this or we're gonna cut you loose.
Do the guys get out of the truck and pick up the
Yes,
bags?
all winter.
They don't do that in my neighborhood. They drive right past it.
Well,
On
my guys.
occasion, when people put extra stuff out, if it's a
Depends on how much it
thing.
is. If there's one egg.
They've been doing it all winter.
That's what I'm saying.
Street from me.
In our neighborhood,
They just went.
on any
Yes.
given
Like I
day,
was just saying.
somebody might have more than one
Contract coming up.
big screen TV, man, if you call them.
Right, get that in place and everything.
And it's a big screen TV, I don't want to get to know that.
Because we're doing a new contract, let's
I thought
You know,
this would be pretty
have a
crazy in that
more
case,
stringent
to advertise
ordinance.
for everybody in the world.
with regards to collection.
Or adopt our own, so then we start.
That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying.
Hey, guys, with all of you talking, it's really hard for us to follow who's saying what.
Well, I was going to use this garbage talk as a segue. Where are we with negotiating for the next term?
So, we have had informal first talks with them about price extension. Their unofficial first offerings, which I want to be careful how I present to you. I don't want to state numbers out loud right now because I don't want that to complicate a potential bidding scenario should we have to get into it. Are not great. I expected them to go up. I know that recycling in particular is an issue, but our $15 a month, all you can eat smorgasbord is certainly not on the table anymore. So what I've started to do since then, and I told them what I said we would do is, now, thank you for an opening salvo. Now we'll do our research, and I'm having several local or our sister municipalities send over their contracts and their current rate schedules to build a comparison. There is either gonna have to be significant movement or we'll be going out to bid. But let me gather a full picture so that I can answer all questions, and then Joe can tell me how we can best discuss that. I don't know if there's an executive session qualifier for that or not.
Coming on.
Okay. No, it's a delicate thing to talk about.
Yeah.
One proposal when you might have to just take that out for bid.
No, just want to make sure that we're focused because come January 1, we
Yep.
want a transition.
Exactly.
Don't want
Joe's
calls.
already been put on alert to ramp up the bidding documents.
Done it before, right? People have heard that before several times.
Yeah.
Most recently, though, we've got the documents prepared. We've got, we can, if we won't proceed that way, that's the way we're going, then we are ready to put those out.
Yeah.
So.
Okey-doke.
Yeah.
Oh, and
It's interesting.
the other thing I would like to just mention in open session, a change order for Public Works building cameras.
Well, we
When
kind
that
of just
when
talked
that
about that.
gets going, wherever we need cameras, install cameras.
Thought that's what we just.
Well, we-
No, we were talking about trail cameras for catching graffiti.
Yeah, but then I also said like the parking lot over there at the baseball park and all that kind of stuff over there.
But within our building and the exterior of our building, whatever security we need.
I know that Mike has already put quotes for that together in years past. We have simply, they have been cut out of past budgets and we can,
Talking about IT, Mike, right?
IT Mike.
Yeah.
So we could dust those off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's already been thought through.
Stay Line Mass Transit.
I have no update.
I make a motion to conclude.
Like, first, any more public comment? No need for executive session. Motion to adjourn by trustee Petty. Go ahead, Justin.
Second.
Ah! Maybe I didn't watch it.
Well, you made that pretty obvious.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Dunn,
No.
Malco,
Yes.
Betty,
Yes.
King,
There actually used to be a guy that sat there that used to say that.
Ms. Clark,
Attorney,
Yes.
Gustafson.
yes,
King, yes.
no, we hear a vote, so.
Are we adjourned?
They're adjourned.
Okay.